Hello everyone, Sire here. Thank you so much for joining me for a Craft Roulette submission. This is technically last week's submission, so if you've seen this card that I'm going to be creating, that is why. I just can't keep track of my time. I'm always behind, but nevertheless, I did record it, and now I'm doing the voiceover and editing. I will be using the toaster card die set from Trinity Stamps to create a card. And I will say, there's something about this die, it stands out every single time. I'm not going to say the word, I'm just going to highlight it, and you tell me what you see. But every time I see this, I think, ooh, well, that's interesting. And then I realize it's nothing but an innocent little word. Okay, now that we got the icebreaker out of the way, you see it. I don't need to say anymore. Let's move on to creating a card. So sit back, relax, enjoy a nice beverage, and let's create a fun card. I'm going to go ahead and die cut all the pieces off camera. This is a very simple die, very little pieces actually. Not bad compared to that tiny clown that I've showcased before. This is very simple. It has a nice hole in the top that we can use to insert toast, and I'll show you how we do that. I'm going to ink blend. This is ripe persimmon ink, and I'm going to just go around the edges of my toaster very lightly. I don't want my toaster to turn orange. I just want that shine. Almost like a pearlescent, when it hits a certain light, it's changing color. And I'm going to do the same thing on the inset of this toaster. So this piece that you're looking at is actually going to create that 3D effect. So this is the part in the front, and then the back layer is technically the thickness of your toaster. And then I'm just going to ink blend the shadow die, which says toast. I'm not going to do each little text, that's just a little too much. And then we'll move on to the little accessories using the little buddy blender from Trinity Stamps. So while I'm doing this, I'll just say that the reason we're doing a yellow toaster is because the parameter was unusual color, and I'm just going to make the assumption without checking Google that a yellow toaster would be very unusual, and anyone who says otherwise, I will ignore. With my fingers in my ears, this is my unusual color, and it also ties in with the Tutti Fruiti color. So I did a Google search on what Tutti Fruiti is. There are two. There's the Jelly Bellies. They're kind of like a pink with a fun, colorful splatter on them. But there's also the candy, I believe is in the States, called Tutti Frutti, and it has little orange, yellow, and red pieces, I believe. Maybe there's another color. Not too familiar with that candy, but that is what I'm going with. So I have my orange and yellow here. So now that I have everything ink blended, let's start putting it together. The first thing you want to do is attach the base, the foundation, because that is going to be flat right on the bottom, and it's going to help you align everything, because this piece is supposed to be flush. I didn't do it flush, so I'm going to check the internet to double check, because that didn't look right. You can see my hands disappear. Yeah, we need to move that down a bit. So that should be nice and flush to the bottom, and it's going to create that nice effect that this is a thick toaster. So that hole is actually where the bread is supposed to go. And the best way of doing that is you want the light color in the front and then the similar family color in the back, but like a darker shade. You can also just ink blend it in any color you want, but that I find is the best solution, is just making sure you have the light color in the front. Now I'm going to put down all the accessories, and I'm going to add a little bit of extra cardstock to this knob so that it stands out. I wanted to make it look like it actually is projected out more, so it's not so flat. And I think that's the only thing I'm going to do for raising up the card. So I still want to make sure that this card can be mailed to someone. So I need to make sure it's nice and flat. And that's what I like about this die. because you think because you can insert something into it that it needs to be lifted off the card, but you do not need to do that. And I'm going to show you just how possible that is. So now that I got my handle on that, we now have our fun little toaster. I will say you can turn these into shaker cards because I've done that. You can make this an interactive card using the interactive type dies that Trinity sells. There's a lot you can do, or you can keep it simple like what I'm doing right now. The O is a little challenging. Just move it around a bit and you'll find it fits perfectly. You just want to make sure that that ring in the inside is perfectly aligned, and there is only one way it fits. And so I think it's kind of like squished at the bottom if you look. This font is actually quite fun. I like it. It's a little wonky, and like for example the S where the big portion is actually on the top. I like this font. It really makes it stand out. So now that I got all that done, we're going to bring back the ink and the blending brushes, and we're going to do some vintage photo around my toast. I'm just going to do a very light inking around the edges, and I'll also do it on both sides because technically this is a card. This is the actual portion or the piece that you will write your message on. And so I'm going to fold it as well to make sure that I get inked on everything because this is going to be the toast. Technically I said bread, but it's toast because it's in the toaster. So that is why I'm being very careful how I say this because this is actually the second parameter that we need to fit, and that is container. So I'm saying bread first because I'm going to say that this toaster is the container for my bread until it is toasted. So I'm trying to be a little sneaky in making sure that I fit that parameter. And there we go. So this die will cut this little card piece out as well as the inlays. And I cut out 2, and I'm going to place the one on the front and one on the inside. I didn't really want to cut 4. I don't want to make this too thick. I will say that the paper I'm using is Recollection paper for the toast so that it's thinner. I don't know if you had all these layers with 100-pound cardstock that you would be able to easily tuck it into the toaster. So just keep that in mind, that a slightly less weight is probably beneficial unless you're going to lift the toaster up on your card. So let's start putting our sentiment on. It is Let's Toast, and I have all the little letters here, and I'm just going to place them down before I glue them, and just so I get a good position. The first thing I'm going to do is put that apostrophe down because that's going to anchor where my sentiment is going to go. That is an easy way of doing it, since it's just a tiny little dot, using the little jewel picker from Trinity Stamps to place that down. And now that that little apostrophe is set down, we can start putting all of our little letters down, moving from right to left. Sorry, actually. And there we go. Just kind of knocking off a little bit of that glue so that it's not so juicy, because that font is a little bit light, a little thin. Okay, we're getting close to the end. Let's slap on some pattern paper here. I found this. This is actually part of a Kendra Card Challenge bonus printable, and I thought this was kind of now it's starting to look like a banana theme here. But I thought this was kind of like a vintage looking background. And I thought I would put that on the back just to create some interest, so it's not just a white background. I'm thinking about it now, I could have inked it a little bit just so it wasn't so stark, because you kind of want your toaster to stand out more than the background, and that background's quite white. So anyways, maybe next time. Be careful how you glue this down. You only want to glue the perimeter of your toaster. So just that tiny strip on the top and just around the edges, and just make sure that you put enough glue on that you're not going to rip it off when you put your toast in the center. I did cut this one more time in black so that I can put the inlay on the top there so that you don't see the background. And you can glue that completely down because the toast is going to go in front of it. While this is all drying, I'm going to bring out some ink pens to add some highlights. So I have my little gel pen doing the little small pieces. And then I'm going to bring out a Posca marker. I haven't used this in a while, so I'm just going to test that it is still working. And of course, then it kind of bled all over the place. So then I tried to get a paper towel, and off screen, it's a little messy what happened, but let's just say ink has been spilt and everything is okay. Now we'll just add the little bit of highlights on the left and the right, just kind of hugging the curvature of this toaster just to really show that it is shining. It is one shiny, beautiful yellow toaster, and I think it looks great. And then I go and use my finger to wipe it off. Big blob of white. Oh my goodness. It's embarrassing. Okay, and then there we go. There is our toaster. We'll just stuff that right there in the toaster, and when you give it to someone, they can pull it all out. Now that wasn't so tough at all. Actually, that was a very simple, very easy card to put together. I didn't have to do much editing at all. I pretty much just turned on this camera or this microphone and started chatting away. Just editing some of the ink blending and stuff to make sure it wasn't so long. But yeah, it's a very, very simple die to work with. I will put it in the description box below if you are interested. Okay, let's see. Did we meet the parameters of episode 328? It is meant to be an A2 size card. I think that is looking pretty good. That's looking very A2 size. It should be in the colors of Tutti Fruiti. And I will say, yes, yellow and orange are definitely the Tutti Fruiti sorts. Container, I have my toaster, and unusual color, the rare exclusive yellow toaster. I think we did quite well. So we can definitely check off all of those and call this a completed card. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please feel free to subscribe or like this video. That helps a lot. And until the next time, have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you all later. Take care. Bye.